Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Liam Murphy back to recap NFL Week 5. Going to be recapping the usage, the routes run of the players, the amount of snaps they played. Going to be giving you some of my takes. Going to open it up with try to do this every week. First, want to recap my weekly article. Crushed it this week. I didn't do micro rank uploads this week. I just individually wrote up players. Sorry, guys. Just had dinner here. And so had a pretty strong write-up for the underdog market. Nico had a good game, but not good enough. And this article is centered towards the Battle Royale drafts and then the Dog Bowl drafts. Chris Olave, again, not enough. This was a really strong point, though. I said Rachaad White, Michael Carter, Rico Dowdle, Woody Marks. Now, Michael Carter was undraftable because he wasn't in the player pool, but Rico Dowdle, he was on all my best teams, and you literally had to draft him. And yeah, this is an edge, guys. What I said is these guys are all going to be pretty popular. This is the guys I like more than market. They're going to be pretty popular in DFS at low salaries with solid projections. They were all around 10 to 12 points in the pick'em lobbies. But they're going to be near 0% drafted in Battle Royale. Don't quote me, but I think Rico Dowdle was like 11% drafted. When there's a chalk salary cap DFS pick that's rarely drafted in daily drafts, those are generally good bets to make. And then I said I didn't see Michael Carter's draftable. So Rachaad White had a good game. Really, the slate breaker was Rico Dowdle. If you didn't have Rico, you didn't win. He was near 100% drafted in the Dog Bowl. Those are 12-person drafts. But in these Battle Royale drafts, like that's the quintessential good pick, right? Like there's no need to take a 100% drafted insert running back, Omarion Hampton, whoever, always, and have Rico Dowdle be near 0% drafted in a good spot. So sharp right up bet there. Jamar Chase, I said I was higher on. He ended up crushing. Ladd, he had 2 touchdowns. One was canceled. Again, not good enough to break the slate. And then RJ Harvey, no, that was a bust. This was really thin, but figured I'd throw it in. And then the guys I was lower on, I said Derrick Henry and Brock Bowers. Both stunk. Obviously, Brock Bowers didn't end up playing, but I wrote this up on Friday when he was still getting drafted. Mentioned some high totals and some low-owned guys because of that. And then some game stacks. Yeah, Lions Bengals was a good one. Jets Cowboys. It was really narrow, but yeah. So okay, pretty good week. So we do a Pepper Tony. We jump right in. Chad, man, think you won a Dog Bowl ticket. Congrats. Is this Davis? The college scrub? I don't believe that, but welcome anyways. Okay, if you're new here, on Tuesday, we like to recap the full slate, going through the usage, going through the box scores. I give some of my takes as someone who watches all the games. So we're starting this off with Thursday. As always, the usage data is courtesy of PFF and, more importantly, Nathan Yankee. So I would say the story of the game here, other than, the Kyren Williams decisions, was kind of Kendrick Bourne for the 49ers. I mean, we see this time and time again. This is connection that quarterback and wide receiver have that people are not accounting for. What's the connection? Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne played together in New England. So that's your connection. He goes for 10 for 142 in the box score. CMC continues to be an elite receiver and an awful running back. 882 and 1 in the air, 22 for 57 on the ground. No one else is getting work, though, notably. Mac Jones is like leading the league in passing, 342 and 2 for him. Jake Tongus has a game. Please come back, George Kittle. Demarcus Robinson is your other guy getting stats. Puka Nacua is awesome. Matthew Stafford is awesome. 389 and 3 for Stafford. Kyren, 14 for 65 on the ground. Blake Corum gets a fumble in this one. Kyren, 866 and 2. Huge game for Kyren. Corum's going to play, though, I would think. Puka, 1085 and 1. It's literally over when he scores touchdowns. 5 for 88 for Devontae. 2 for 72 for Tutu. From my memory, I think Tutu played more in this one after the good game. Absolutely. CMC is definitely paying off right now, Brady. He might the whole year, or it's week 5, Looking at the routes run here, this is interesting for the 49ers. It's Demarcus Robinson and Kendrick Bourne right now. And so if Pearsall doesn't return, go ahead. Fire up Kendrick Bourne. Fire up Demarcus Robinson. MVS is your third receiver. Obviously, he's not a high target guy. Jake Tongas, 10 targets for him. So, yeah, go ahead and scoop him as long as George Kittle's not a thing. And then, Brian Robinson, I think, needs to still be owned everywhere in managed leagues. I think the Rico Dowdle thing is a big lesson of this. Like, I had a team I drafted in May, and let's just look at the team. And the team is, so my team is first or last. This is tight end premium. It's in second because it's it's first in points. It scored the most points, but I'm only 2 and 3. So I've gotten a little unlucky in the week-to-week variance. Obviously, majorly unlucky, but the team is awesome. And why I wanted to highlight this team is I think it just shows like how to play managed correctly, where I've made almost no waiver moves. Pretty much this whole roster and the guys I really want to highlight are Rico Dowdle and Kendre Miller. Like, these are 2 guys who I could have gotten antsy week 1, week 2, week 3. It's very tempting to be like, well, let's do the shiny little lotto ticket here, And obviously the Rico Dowdle outcome is massive compared to expectation. But now I might just have like a quasi starting running back. Like, it's going to be hard for Rico Dowdle to go back in the bottle after that game. And I'm rewarded for my patience, right? And so the lesson there is like with Brian Robinson, like I knew what I had with Rico. I knew I had a starting running back if Chuba went down and maybe a 1B. And if you have Brian Robinson, you know what you have if CMC gets hurt, right? I want Isaac Grendo to be a thing. I'm just not sure he is. So, yeah, you carry these guys and you just, see if someone gets hurt. Obviously, this year, a lot of guys are getting hurt. Rams usage usually is not interesting, but here I would say it is. Massive change for Tutu Atwell. If you remember the Colts game, Tutu had a big catch to end the game. That one was routes run leader Whittington. Tutu far dominated the routes run in this one. 36 routes to 15 for Whittington. Still not a lot of targets, but he's a deep A-dot guy. So seems like the Rams might be moving towards the Tutu Atwell show, which makes sense, right? Like, get someone fast, clear out the field. No Tyler Higbee in this one, so it was Davis Allen and Parkinson splitting it up. And then, Blake Corum got sent a message for fumbling. Obviously, Kyron's fumbled a lot, so we'll see how sticky that is. Okay. Oh, come on, man. We got the tinfoil hats here with the eliminator. It's random, dude. It's random. Okay. So opening up with Browns Vikings, and please be our last international game. These international games stink, man. Maybe they're going to move the Vikings to London. Anyways, Vikings eke out a win 21-17. They benched Jordan Addison for exploring London or something for the first quarter and almost lost because of it. Carson Wentz, whatever, 236-1. Cam Akers threw a touchdown. I missed that. Jordan Mason, 13-52-1 on the ground. This team's on bye this week, by the way. Jefferson, 7-123 in the air. Jordan Addison, 5-41-1, including the game winner. Josh Oliver, another touchdown with Wentz. On the Browns end, Dylan Gabriel, 190-2. I didn't watch a ton of this game, so seems like opinions were mixed on Gabriel, though. Quinshon Judkins is like a for sure league winner. 23-110. Pretty crazy. Browns did trade away Joe Flacco to the Bengals today, so it's Gabriel and it's Shadur. Most likely Gabriel. David Njoku, a good game, 667 and 1. Isaiah Bond had a bunch of targets, but only 2 for 29 in the air. So yeah, the Judkins stuff where Judkins was going undrafted. And trust me, as someone that took him somewhat, it was not a comfortable click. It's easy to stand here today and be like, oh, of course Judkins was always going to play. I wanted to draft him in managed leagues. I was drafting him in best ball. I was not drafting him in every draft, but I was drafting him. And just being like, you know what? Maybe he's innocent before proven guilty. Maybe he's getting shook down. Obviously, he looks amazing right now. So the Viking stuff is not that meaningful because JJ McCarthy, I think, returns this week. Obviously, they're on bye this week, so the next week is what I mean. But it's Jefferson and Addison at wideout and Jalen Naylor. The Adam Thielen trade is truly puzzling. Hawkinson, Hawkinson, he was overpriced. And then Jordan Mason played a lot in this one, not surprising. Cam Akers played one snap and apparently threw a touchdown. That's amazing. Okay. Honestly, you could get Judkins in the 180s, in the 200s. So the Browns actually are an interesting team to look at. Number one, this is Dylan Gabriel's first game. So things that stick out. Isaiah Bond, 6 targets, 31 routes. He's your wide receiver 2 until Tillman returns and maybe even after. Malachi Corley got scooped up by them. The David Njoku, Harold Fannin thing, pretty equal in snaps. Njoku did run way more routes, 31-18 to Fannin, and he also doubled up Fannin in targets. And then Judkins and Ford are the running backs here. Dylan Sampson is a 0. 23 carries for Judkins, 5 for Ford. 5 routes for Judkins, 14 for Ford. 2 targets for Judkins, 2 for Ford. So seems like Ford is the third down back. And I do think that Ford could be traded, right? To, the Chargers. The Chargers just put Hampton on IR. Maybe they want Ford. But it is a reminder that the general smart fantasy community who thinks they're hot shots with prospecting, these guys are wrong a lot too. Dylan Sampson, they were I was not taking Sampson because I didn't really want the quasi RB3 on the Browns and thought this was a realistic possibility. He's a 0 right now. Yeah, he does, Derby, but it's who's trading for Jerome Ford? So he might just be a thorn in the side, Moving on. Man, the Ravens, I think, are still somehow betting odd favorites to make the playoffs, and they're selling guys on their roster. They lose 44-10. Yeah, my write-up was hey, people are oh, Derrick Henry's gonna get 30 carries. He's gonna be amazing. And my point was look, 30 carries when your team loses by 20 it's not that great. So Cooper Rush, 3 interceptions, terrible game, obviously. Derrick Henry, 15 carries, 33 yards, a touchdown, saved his day. Keaton Mitchell got 3 carries in this one, 8 yards. Zay Flowers, 5 for 72. Mark Andrews might get traded too. CJ Stroud, 4 touchdowns, great game for him. Nick Chubb, 11 carries, 61 yards, a touchdown. The real story here is that Woody Marks did not take over the backfield. And Dameon Pierce even got some carries in this one, 7 for 21. I'm assuming that came in the blowout, but I don't know. Christian Kirk, 4 for 64. Nico, 452 and 1. Dalton Schultz, 5 for 60. Yeah, this Ravens defense stinks. Hutchinson scored 2 touchdowns. Why? Noel scored a touchdown. I think the Nico Collin blow-up game is coming, but yeah, it's not here. Not here this week. The route run stuff is a mess for the Texans. So let's look at this. 25 for Hutchinson. And this is probably majorly skewed. I forget that I have stuff super zoomed out. This is probably majorly skewed because of the blowout. But 25 for Hutchinson, 25 for Nico, 17 for Jaden Higgins, 20 for Kirk, 12 for Noel, 24 for Schultz. So they're playing legitimately 5 wide receivers right now. I'm going to guess Higgins and Noel got their work in the blowout, but yeah, the Hutchinson stuff is annoying, man, and he doesn't seem to be going away yet. He's like Justin Watson of the past. And then Nick Chubb, Woody Marks, Dameon Pierce. Again, I'm assuming the Pierce stuff came in the blowout, but it was tied in carries for everyone. It was Woody Marks and Nick Chubb in the routes run stuff. When the Texans blow out a team, I don't think that's a Woody Marks game. I think that's like, it's got to be a little bit of a tighter of a game. Ravens, I don't think anything interesting here. In this team, too, I have Rashad Bateman. And, yeah, he's maybe a cut, but I might hold on to him, too, because, Mark Andrews might get traded away, right? And if that's the case, it's like, well, it's Bateman and Zay catching balls there, Hopkins is playing, but he just doesn't he's not playing enough, only 11 snaps. Likely and Mark Andrews were even on the snaps and routes run. That's interesting because Likely is really his first game back from injury. Charlie Kolar is also playing a ton, so a ton of multi-tight end sets here. Even this guy, Zaire Mitchell-Payton, may be a sign that the Mark Andrews trade is real, that they're playing this fourth guy. And then Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, 4 snaps for Keaton, 3 carries. So I did hear Harbaugh previously say that, well, it's kind of obvious when we have Keaton on the field, we're going to get him the ball. To his point, 4 snaps, 3 carries. I don't know. Maybe be more creative. 15 carries for Derrick Henry. They did allow him to run 9 routes in this one. But yeah, it's got to be rough being a Ravens fan. Let's see what they say about the blowout. Yeah, I don't know. As someone who drafted Dameon Pierce, it's nice that he played it all. I'm going to be honest. It's nice that he played it all. Yeah, maybe he's saying injury problem, so that doesn't say anything else. Okay, I think I want to pull up my Survivor teams because, man, did we have them in the first half or not? We had them in the first half, folks. We went ultra risky this week. I went Colts on 1. That one I for sure thought was winning. The other team I said I thought was winning for sure was the Lions. I said, if I was forced to choose between the Bills and the Lions, I would choose the Lions because the Bills could lose to the Patriots. I knew that. Did take 3 turnovers. We'll get there. Dameon Pierce is not Samson because Samson was like a 10th round pick at times, and Dameon Pierce was a 20th round pick, But I went ultra risky here. Now, this is how these games started. Dolphins 17-0. You got them in Survivor. You're feeling great. Boom, loss. Giants were up 14-7. You got them in Survivor. You're feeling great. Boom, lost. The stats here on Survivor, almost no one picked these teams. I was feeling great. Giants was less than 1%. Dolphins was less than 1%. Now, something I could have done is I could have just split the entries, Giants and Saints, to guarantee 2 moved on. I just thought it was a good week for that. And I would argue the results of the 2 biggest teams picked, Cardinals and Rams, both losing, indicates that I was correct. So only got 1 entry out of 8. Kind of a bummer there. But yeah, I'll have to think about what I'm going to do now. It just would have been set up for such major success if those teams won. But they did not. I digress. Dolphins lose somehow, 24-27. Again, they start up 17-0. Yeah, the Cardinals loss is even crazier. But they were major chalk, right? Tua, 256-3. Devon Achane, 10 carries, 16 yards. Devon Achane, 6 catches, 30 yards, a touchdown. Darren Waller is back, 5 for 78-1. Jalen Waddle, 6, 110-1. More teams should do this. If you stink, sign Darren Waller, sign Todd Gurley, sign Will Fuller. We'll watch. Panthers, 198-2 for Bryce Young. Rico Dowdle, 23 carries, 206 yards, a touchdown, 3 catches, 28 yards. So I just don't know how you put this back in the box. A lot of people wanted to say that, oh, Rico Dowdle sucks and Trevor Etienne is a 4th-round pick and Rico Dowdle is just a guy. Well, I had belief in Rico, man. I don't think you do what you did last year and just be just a guy. Like he was good for the Cowboys, and Rico proved that today. I drafted him quite a bit in best ball, so nice game for him. Held him and managed too, right? 6 for 73 for Tet. I mean, yeah, he just needs touchdowns to pay off, and those are going to be few and far between on the Panthers. Leggett 2 for 31 in one. So he gets a touchdown, but Now, super interesting team to look at is the Dolphins because Tyreek is gone. So what do we got here? The first thing that sticks out, 34 routes run for Achane. I think he played wide receiver quite a bit. 7 targets, 10 carries. So his fantasy value is even higher without Tyreek. Jalen Waddle obviously goes way up in fantasy value too. 34 routes, 9 targets. Nick Westbrook-Akine was a win sprint hero. 29 routes, 0 targets. That's not a big deal for Westbrook-Akine because that's what he's always kind of been. He's like a 0 target or he's like a 3 targets, 3 touchdowns guy. I drafted someone best ball, so running pure that he's not a pure 0. Malik Washington, 25 routes, 5 targets. Yeah, he's like an okay pickup. This Taj Washington guy, he might play more over Nick Westbrook eventually is my guess. And then a ton of 12 personnel, Julian Hill and Darren Waller getting out there. Darren Waller obviously is a major waiver priority if he's still out there for you. Panthers, it's Leggett, it's Renfro, it's Tommy Tremble at tight end right now. And then it was pretty much all Rico. 23 carries, 3 targets, 18 routes. Trevor Etienne got 4 carries. I don't think Trevor Etienne really is rosterable and managed unless we get inclinations that the Chuba injury is serious, I think the difference is the team quality and Walker's foot and that we've seen it with Charbonnet more so, but I get your point. Moving on. The Raiders get demolished by the Colts 40-6. Geno Smith, 2 interceptions. Geno might get benched, man. I don't know. He's playing terrible. 2 interceptions. GT 14 for 67. Trey Tucker 4 for 62. GT 5 for 42. That's fun. Albert O 5 for 36. We'll touch on this on the Chargers stuff, I guess. Quinshawn Blubkin. Colts, Daniel Jones 212 and 2. I mean, this is crazy, man, how much better he looks. It really is. It's arguably the story of the season. And we've been getting this every year, man. Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith before. We've seen so many guys be terrible and turn it around. A reminder that your situation matters. Jonathan Taylor, 17, 66, and 3 touchdowns. So positive touchdown variance hitting him like a truck. Tyler Warren, 4 for 44 and 1. Josh Downs, 6 for 54. Ashton Dulin, 2 for 55. Michael Pittman, 540 and 1. So it looks like they sent a message to Mr. Adonai Mitchell in this one. Digging into the usage. With no Brock Bowers for this one, what did we see? Well, we saw Jack Beck play more and kind of as a tight end at times. So it's Myers and Tucker at wideout. We knew that. Thornton played a little bit more too, and Jack Beck played more. So Jack Beck, drafters running pure for now. Albert O was the main tight end. 6 targets for him. Little intriguing, not going to lie. Mostert and Gene T both played a ton, but I'm going to guess that that's largely because of the blowout. And it's nice to see Ashton Gene T get 6 targets. But, man, this Raiders team is worse than I thought for sure they would be. I knew they would be bad, but, I was hoping for fun bad. The Dolphins are fun bad, The Colts, So message sent to Adonai Mitchell. 6 snaps for him. Okay. I don't think they're going to be able to do that against good teams. You got to play your good players, but Ashton Doolin, he's not a terrible guy either. Other than that, like there's literally nothing to talk about for this team. It's Pittman, Downs, Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor. Alec Pierce should be back sooner than later, and then Doolin probably goes to 0 as well. And I guess a lesson for best ball is that like every year there are certain wideouts that get drafted like 100% as stabs and others that don't. So like an example from this past year is like people were drafting Darius Slayton a lot. They are drafting Adonai Mitchell a lot. They were not drafting Trey Tucker as much, right? And they were not drafting even Andre Yoshivas as much. Dontavian Wicks as much. And it's a lesson that like you don't need to draft a 100% drafted guy always. Sometimes that's the right thing to do. But like Tutu Atwell, Trey Tucker, other guys have value and are similar ranges of projection. And so maybe you should just draft the guy who's drafted 5% of the time instead of 85% of the time. You know what I mean? But it's easy to get caught up. Like when you see Hayden Winks or something tweet out like Darius Slayton's a great pick. And you're like, oh yes, I'm getting one over on people. I'm drafting 100% Darius Slayton, you know? And don't get me wrong. I've always been a Slayton guy, but yeah, still the lesson remains. Okay. The Giants rip my heart out in Survivor and lose 26-14 despite opening with a lead. Man, without Malik Neighbors, Jackson Dart, 202 and 2 interceptions as well. Chipped in 55 yards on the ground. So he's kind of fun bad. I don't know. He's kind of bad. Scatabo, terrible game. 15-59, also had a fumble. I think, help me out, guys. The other running back who just got hurt, Tyrone Tracy. I think Tyrone Tracy is back practicing. I don't 100% know there, though. Daniel Bellinger, 4 for 52. Backup tight end. Cam Scatabo, 6 for 45. So that's notable. Used in the passing game in this one, which was a question for him with Dart. Theo Johnson, 633 and 2. Darius Slayton, 3 for 31. Wandale, 5 for 30. Theo Johnson is the same thing. Like, if you were drafting 100% drafted, I can't remember the tight ends 100% drafted right now. Like, it's just a reminder that, like, rather than taking the tight end that's drafted always, maybe you take Theo Johnson. Maybe you take, and some of these guys are not going to work out, right? Like, I did this with Tyler Conklin, right? Jatavian Sanders, right? Tyler Higbee. But I also did this with AJ Barner. Like, AJ Barner is near 0% drafted, and I have him, like, on a big dog team. And, I have him on a tight end premium site, Best Ball. Which one is he on? This one I have Arroyo. And this one, dealing with some injuries, but it's got like AJ Barner, who just had a 2-touchdown game. Anyways, Saints land, and news reports coming out of the Saints is that like everyone is for sale. So I don't see why trading Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed would be good for the Saints. Like whoever they draft that quarterback next year is going to need guys to throw to. Alvin Kamara, though, obviously he's old, so ship him out. Taysom Hill played in this game, which is really insane. I guess another lesson there, like Taysom Hill, Christian Watson, we don't know anything with injuries, folks. We know zero. I thought those guys were for sure not playing. Now, people were also drafting Tank Dell. Like, we didn't know that one. Come on. Spencer Rattler, though, he's kind of good bad. 225 and 1. Kendry Miller, 10 for 41. Rashid Shaheed, 114 and 1. Chris Olave, 7 for 60. I mean, like, you would have won a lot of money betting who plays football first, Taysom Hill or Brandon Ayuk. Like, the Brandon Ayuk stuff was not that negative. People want to pretend it was, but there was, like, injury doctors who were like, oh, week six, you know. Anyways, box score-wise, Giants are interesting to look at because they lost Malik. So, what do we got? We got Wandale, we got Slayton, and I think Slayton got hurt in this game. And then you got Jalen Hyatt and Bo Collins. So, man, it is over for the Giants. Like, I mean, dude, Jalen Hyatt and Bo Collins going from Malik Neighbors to that is crazy. Yeah, no one thought this. No one thought Christian Watson might play before. Taysom? No, man. No one's trading for Taysom Hill. Come on. Maybe the Broncos would send a first-round pick. Theo Johnson, 34 routes, 7 targets. He's like a good tight end to play. Daniel Bellinger, don't chase that. And it's all Cam Scatterbo. I think Scatterbo will be the one when Tracy returns, but like maybe Tracy plays a lot, kind of like Achane played, getting these wide receiver routes, Saints land, I guess with Taysom, it's a little interesting. So Brandon Cooks played a little bit less in a win. They're not going to win a lot. Juwan still playing a ton. And then Taysom Hill only played 9 snaps in this one. So 9 snaps, 6 carries. So that was like all Wildcat stuff. That's just going to go up, obviously. And then Kendre is playing more and more. Yeah, I think like Kendre, again, I've been holding on to him and managed. I don't think you can drop him until the trade deadline gets here. And Adam Schefter tweeted some weird stuff that like, oh, Monday and Tuesday of each week, we're going to get a couple trades a week until the trade deadline. It's like, why would it be like that? But okay. NFL doing their thing. Moving on. And this is the classic, like, can he keep getting away from it? I played 2 DFS lineups this week, mainly. They both turned out well. I mean, it was it was a week with like a bunch of chalk that you felt like you couldn't fade. And both had Justin Fields. And man, like, simply do not watch the football games if you roster Justin Fields, because this guy flat out stinks. Box score wise, Fields gets there, of course. 283-2. The Jets lose 37-22, but 283-2 for Fields. Breece Hall, 14 for 113. Isaiah Davis, 1 for 5. Garrett Wilson, another garbage time king this year. 671-1. He got the touchdown on the last play of the game. Mason Taylor, 9 for 67. He is a great tight end to have. He is the second pass catcher on the team. If maybe him, maybe Breece. Cowboys, 237-4. Javonte Williams continues to be awesome. 16, 135-1. Jaden Blue barely played, 4 for 7. 7 yards, that is. Ryan Flournoy popping up out of nowhere. I drafted him in the past, but didn't get there this year. 6 for 114 for him. George Pickens, 257-1. Jake Ferguson, 750-2. So, and then Javonte caught a touchdown as well. So let's just talk first about, like, we'll do the Cowboys thing. Big story here, I would say, is that Ryan Flournoy. Now, I don't think you really want to chase this because it's 21 routes compared to 30 for Tolbert, but 8 targets is meaningful. So maybe Flournoy can edge out Jalen Tolbert and Kavonte Turpin, who also is injured. Because remember, Lamb is out, Turpin's out. Maybe Flournoy, though, can be the 3. Or maybe this is like a flash in the pan. I don't know. But maybe worth rostering and manage and seeing. Luke Schoonmaker, kind of like the blocking tight end. Jake Ferguson continues to be awesome in PPR scam leagues. And then Jaden Blue, 11 snaps. So 11 snaps, 4 carries. I'm sure most of that was in the blowout too. So I don't know. It's probably going to go up for Jaden Blue, but will be a slow burn. Now the Jets, man, like, yeah, Justin Fields is just not. He's not going to last the season, guys. He's not. And I don't think, unfortunately for Aaron Glenn, I think he's a one and done. Honestly, he's like fireable midfield at this point. Mid-season, that is. I mean, he's 0-5. And Fields, it's not all Fields' fault, but he continues to be pretty terrible. And then he'll like run for 30 yards and throw like 3 garbage time touchdowns against prevent defense. So Yeah, I liked Fields for best ball, but I always said that this was a possibility. Like he's not good. And I don't think he'll be a starter next year. It's not like Tyrod is great, man, but like at a certain point, you just kind of have to send a message, that like what you're doing is not acceptable. Be better. So, anyways, other than Garrett Wilson, it's Josh Reynolds and Arian Smith. Alan Lazard, you got to wonder if he gets traded to the Steelers. Mason Taylor is a great late round tight end. Isaiah Davis did play a ton in this one. 33 snaps compared to 50 for Brees, 24 routes compared to 23 for Brees, 4 targets each, only 1 carry compared to Brees' 14. So, yeah, there's just not going to be that many carries for the Jets when they're trailing by 23 points at half, And Isaiah Davis could be PPR scammable, like prayer level RB2. The Jets D was pretty bad last year, actually, Derby. Like they have like 2 to 3 big name players, and that does not make the whole team. Get us away from that game. Broncos lose to the Eagles. This game was very sweet for me. Oh, I meant to mention, guys, because I mentioned this on Sunday. I was out on the ball at like I moved to this town to teach chess, a very small town ish, and I was at some Irish bar, hanging out with my girlfriend's friends who I just met, and this guy at the bar goes, "Chess Liam!" And so this dude notices me as I'm like hanging out, like I'm getting beers with this dude I just met, and the first person to like really ever notice me in public occurred. It was so funny, man. But I was like, what I do is extremely niche. I have a very small YouTube channel. Please subscribe. So for anyone to notice me at all in public, let alone this like small random Irish bar, was hilarious. Shout out, shout out Tyler. Pretty confident that's who it was. Anyways, Broncos beat the Eagles. And this is sweet because me and Jacob Sanderson were like tweeting at each other. Really, I started it off innocently enough. Let's get to it. Because this is just kind of like surprising to me. Here's me at the bar, by the way. Tyler. So I said, is it not crazy that the Eagles are 4-0 and we hear constant chatter that A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith aren't happy? And then all these people are like, of course they should be unhappy, like they're winning isn't important to hyper competitive NFL athletes. Like Jacob was on one, man. Jacob was arguing that A.J. Brown should sabotage the team to get traded. And like, that's insane. My point was that, in short, this is a topic because, big media, First Take, ESPN, you can't take shots at the Eagles when they win. So you just want to react to things that you can get fans to react to, like, oh, A.J. Brown's unhappy. And of course, the biggest reason is that fantasy football people are unhappy. So when someone who drafted these guys in fantasy are like, oh, like when someone tweets out something like, oh, A.J. Brown is unhappy he's not getting the ball, someone who drafted A.J. Brown's like, of course, these idiot Eagles, don't they understand A.J. Brown is awesome? And it's just so sweet that the Eagles catered to A.J. Brown, went past happy, and absolutely got destroyed 21-17 to lose this game. And A.J. Brown quit on a route. Because my main point is like, I'm sorry, screw the players, win the game. Keep A.J. Brown happy within reason, but like, he's there to win the game. And there are a lot, like, would I like to see A.J. Brown with Joe Burrow and a bad defense? Yes. Would I like to see A.J. Brown with Dak Prescott and a bad defense? Yes. But there are a lot of situations that you can also lose and not get stats. Hello, the Titans. How's Calvin Ridley doing? Anyways, Broncos win 242-1. I still don't think Bo Nix is that good, but they won. J.K. Dobbins 20 for 80-1. That's a crazy stat line. Cortland Sutton 8 for 99. He continues to be fine. I didn't draft any, though. Evan Ingram got a touchdown in this one. For the Eagles, Hurts, 280 and 2. Saquon, 6 carries. Devonta Smith, 8 for 114. Saquon, 3 for 60 and 1. A.J. Brown, 5 for 43. So they like went super pass happy, had a bunch of punts, and lost because of it. And it's like, I don't know. You got to get it together, Eagles, because they pretty much lost this game to like send a message. I don't really know. And my other big thing is like, people are taking like vague AJ Brown tweets and like a quote here to the media, and they pretend that they have like perfect knowledge of the psyche of AJ Brown, you know? Anyways, Cortland Sutton, 10 targets. It's Sutton, it's Franklin, it's Pat Bryant. Marvin Mims did play more in this one, 19 routes, 5 targets. So maybe someone to be early on the waiver with. Don't know who he would come at the expense of. I think they play the Jets, so Sauce Gardner will shadow Sutton, and could be a good game for one of these other Jamokes. Evan Ingram, he's trending up. 23 routes, 5 targets. Big thing here is that RJ Harvey, after sharing snaps with J.K. Dobbins in a game they comfortably won, barely plays at all, getting outsnapped by Tyler Beatty. Like, what the heck, man? For the Eagles, 10 targets for Smith, 7 for A.J. Brown, 7 for Goddard. So pass. And then 22 routes run, 44 snaps, 3 targets, and only 6 rushing attempts for Saquon in a game that they were winning for, what were they winning? Like 7? Oh my God, man. They were winning 17-3 going into the 4th, and the Broncos scored 18 straight to win. Maybe let Saquon carry the ball once. I don't know. Saquon did pop up on the injury report, so Will Shipley definitely should be 100% rostered. I don't think A.J. Dillon is good, but yeah, he's an option too, I guess. John Mechie, 4 snaps, shout out. I need to refill this water. I will be right back. All right. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. So the Cardinals somehow lost an insane game, partially due to Imari DiMarcado fumbling at the 1. Box score in this one. Titans continue to be terrible, but they did win 22-21. Titans 265 and no touchdowns for Cam Ward. Tony Pollard 14 for 67 and 1. Calvin Ridley had a good game, 5 for 131. Chigakonkwo 4 for 48. Cardinals 220 for Kyler Murray. Michael Carter definitely should be 100% rostered if he was not already. 18 for 51 and a touchdown for him. Also chipped in 5 catches for 22 yards. I had some leagues where I was like real bad and I just dumped all the fab for him. DiMarcado is probably going to get benched after doing that. And yeah, Gannon did shout in his face, which is like, I'm sorry. I think it's okay to like, these are professionals. So is it good leadership? Probably not. But like the guy's pissed because he's going to get fired because of this idiot, you know? And it's like, look, it's not a big deal to scream in a guy's face when they make a mistake. Like when I played Pop Warner football, I got screamed in my face. I was a child, you know? Is it my leadership style? No, but we're talking about football. Yes, Gannon got fined $100K for that. Yeah, I mean, look, like what do you guys think Bill Parcells would have done to the guy? You know, Bill Parcells would have thrown the guy to the concrete factory. Like, come on now. Well, to be clear, it's an optics thing, Michael. And again, we live in an era where it's different. Bro, he hit him. I don't know, man. This is getting a little out of control. If he hit him, that's obviously not okay, but I don't think that's what I saw. Anyways, rushing, Kyler Murray touchdown. Donovan Knight got some carries too. This would be wild, man. They just play him the full game. They'd be like, hey, I take all that back. Marvin Harrison started off awesome, only ended up 4 for 98. Trey McBride continues to be meh, 5 for 41. Anyways, routes run here. Alec Imanor, not a good game here, but he's had a good season. The big story here, though, is Gunnar Helm, the rookie tight end, played quite a bit, 23 routes, 5 targets. So that's not great for Chig, but it is kind of good news for Calvin Ridley and Alec Imanor. Like, this is part of the big reason why JSN is awesome is they run a bunch of 12. And then Tajay Spears' first game back healthy, 17 snaps to 49 for Pollard, 10 routes to 29, 0 targets to 3, 4 carries to 14. Obviously, Spears is going to earn more work as he gets healthier. Probably making both in managed leagues like terrible. They're both like killers, you know? I think Spears is fine. Come on, man. I think Spears is fine for best ball, but like, I don't know. Like the Titans are just not a good team. So you probably need Pollard or Spears hurt if you're not just praying for a touchdown, you know? I would hold Spears and manage though and just like see what happens. It's bleak out there, you know? Cardinals. So if you remember, Zay Jones didn't play at all the week before. Looks like that was all injury related because he ran 25 routes, 2 targets. Yeah, this team is not interesting. It's Marvin, it's Michael Wilson, it's Zay, it's Trey McBride. And then the big thing is the running back split. Michael Carter is easily the guy you want here. 39 snaps, 17 routes, 5 targets, 18 carries, also scored a touchdown. And we'll have to see what happens to DeMercado. Like, my honest truth is that I think DeMercado scored the touchdown, but like technically scored. You know, I think he crossed the line, but when you do that and it's close at all, they're just going to call it a turnover because it's like more dramatic, you know. Bam Knight might be rosterable. We'll have to see what happens with DeMercado. You know, obviously no one had an issue with Adonai Mitchell going to 0, but maybe because DeMercado got shouted at, he remains as an RB2. I don't know. Anyways, Bucks, Seahawks. This was like the game of the afternoon. 38-35 Buccaneers. Mayfield, 380-2. Amazing. Baker Mayfield continues to stick it to the regression nerds. Rachaad White dominated the touches here. 14, 41-2. Amika Egbuka says, separate this. 7, 163-1. Cade Otton back from the dead, 4 for 81. Tez Johnson, 4 for 60. Rachaad White, 4 for 30 in the air. Chris Godwin doesn't seem healthy. 3 for 26. For the Seahawks, 341-4 for Darnold. So, yeah, I actually drafted quite a bit of Darnold. I was like, I don't think he's going to get benched. And when I saw their win total was quite high, too, I was like, okay. It was like 8.5. Ken Walker, 10 for 86. Charbonnet, 940-1. A guy I did not draft a lot of and am kicking myself about is JSN, 832-1. He's helped by his scheme being a lot of, you know, by the fact that they run both the tight ends a lot helps JSN. And I draft man, this is the flop lag. I drafted JSN was like one of my most drafted guys his rookie year. And then I was like, I'm not doing it again. And boom. JSN sticking it to me. Luckily, I did draft James Cook. But, yeah, JSN, 8, 132-1. He's kind of like discount Puka right now as far as how good he's been. A.J. Barner, 753-2. I had A.J. Barner ranked as like firmly 100% drafted in 18 rounds by the end of a draft cycle. And I had him ranked ahead of Arroyo. Cooper Kupp, 6 for 59. Torrey Horton, 339-1. He continues to smash with the touchdowns. Usage-wise is quite interesting for both teams. So Godwin is out there. I mean, obviously we're worried about Godwin. Now this is something that, like, I don't know. Tell yourself that you're playing for the late season. If you have better options and managed, I would play them over him. But yeah, his usage is great. 31 routes, 4 targets. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it takes 5 weeks. Maybe it takes 7 weeks. Maybe it takes next year to be truly Chris Godwin, you know? I've not seen a report on Mike Evans, but he can't be that far away from returning. Sterling Shepard, Tez Johnson, these guys will go to 0 once Mike is back. Cade Otton, 31 routes, 5 targets for him. So, yeah, just like a good game, but nothing to chase there. And then Sean Tucker, I think he's rosterable in the meantime. But when the game gets kind of like shootouty like this, it's going to be mostly Rachaad White. And Sean Tucker might have like a game here or there on an explosive carry. Seahawks, not the most interesting team. Cooper Kupp had like a fine game, but yeah. JSN, a demon. Barner and Arroyo, I think, are both like defensible prayer darts. You would assume Arroyo gets more work later in the season. And then Charbonnet and Ken Walker. So funny, Charbonnet outsnaps Ken Walker. Tied in carries. Equal in routes run. Like, I think it's kind of logical. Like, Ken Walker looks good, but like Charbonnet does some things well too, despite the Ken Walker people hating it. The Lions beat the Bengals so bad that the Bengals traded for Joe Flacco. 37-24. Jared Goff, 258 and 3. The David Montgomery stuff was real. He threw a touchdown. He scored a touchdown on the ground, 65 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had a fine game too, 54 yards on the ground, 33 yards, and a touchdown in the air. Amon-Ra, another 100-yard game. He's like a walking 100 yards. So funny. People found a way to like discredit Amon-Ra in drafts this year. And he's just like, oh, here's another 20 points. Sam Laporta popped up for a good one. Bengals suck against tight ends. 592 and 1. And Isaac Tesla caught a touchdown in this one. For the Bengals, 3 touchdowns for Jake Browning. Chase Brown got some PPR scamming going on here. 7 catches, 21 yards. Chase Brown, 8 catches, 27 yards. Jamar Chase, 6, 110 and 2. Andre Yoshivas, 5 for 82. What? T. Higgins, 322 and 1. So, okay, let's get through the usage and then talk about Flacco. It was J-Mo, it's Amon-Ra, it's Isaac Tesla, and that is noticeable. Khalif Raymond has been sent to 0, so better days ahead for Tesla. And then, yeah, the running back stuff is not that meaningful. Again, David Montgomery's sister was at the game, and she is paralyzed, and he grew up in Cincinnati. So, good for him, and sorry about her. For the Bengals, again, the usage is pretty stagnant here. T. Chase, Yoshi Voss, Mike Gesicki, and Drew Sample. Noah Fant did not play that much. And then Chase Brown and P. Ryan like split the work, but obviously P. Ryan kind of stinks. So let's talk about Joe Flacco. I think Flacco is good enough. He's not as good as he was like 2 years ago, but he's good enough to keep some PPR scam hopes alive. Now, this also might be your opportunity to both sell high and low on this offense. You know, like if you've been looking to get out from your T. Higgins, maybe you sell someone on the dream of Joe Flacco and Cedric Tillman. If you need a running back really bad and the Chase Brown drafter is panicking, maybe you try to get him because maybe Flacco will just throw him 10 balls a game. So I could see it going either way. Obviously, I'm optimistic about how it goes with Flacco. And yeah, this is the most like whatever trade in real life. Like they could have traded for Kirk Cousins if they wanted to like truly try to win. They could have traded for Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson even, right? Them trading for Flacco tells me that it's kind of like it's throwing us a bone. It's like, okay, yeah, we're in the playoff race and we'll be good for fantasy, Obviously, he's not that mobile, and the O-line sucks, so. But yeah, going to be interesting to see how it goes. All right, Commanders, Chargers, almost through the afternoon games. 27-10 Commanders. Chargers started off 10-0 in this game. How they have fallen to earth. Box score, Jaden Daniels, first game back, 231-1 for him. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, 14, 111, and 2. Hello. Jaden Daniels, 8 for 40 on the ground with the bad knee, I think it is. Deebo Samuel, 8 for 96 and 1. Luke McCaffrey, 1 for 50. What? Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, 2 for 49. 2 for 39. There's like no one other than Deebo catching the ball pretty much. Chargers, 166 and 1 for Herbert. That's all he could do on 22 pass attempts. Herbert, 4 for 60 on the ground. Hampton gets hurt. We're going to talk about that. Keenan Allen, 5 for 58. Quentin Johnson, 4 for 40. He had a terrible fumble. Ladd McConkey, 539 and 1. Had a punt return touchdown called back. 6 catches for Amari Hampton, 26 yards. So let's dig into the usage and then talk about Amari Hampton going on IR. Okay, it's Deebo, and then it's a guy called Chris Moore, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane. Zach Ertz only got 1 target in this too. So wheels are up for Deebo until Terry returns and probably even after. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt slowly taking over the backfield. 28 snaps, 14 carries, 2 targets, 12 routes run. Only 5 carries for Chris Rodriguez. Only 1 carry for Jeremy McNichols. So Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is trending up. The Chargers are QJ, Ladd, and Keenan. And Trey Harris and Keandre Lambert-Smith continue to play a little bit. Honestly, the Chargers should probably trade someone away. Unfortunately for the Chargers, injuries have just caught up to them that man, they were one of the best teams in the NFL, and life comes fast, I guess. Gadsden playing a lot of routes. Amari Hampton gets hurt. So, okay. I think Hassan, assuming that they don't trade for someone, which I don't think that assumption is safe, but I think you want Hassan Haskins over Kamani Vidal. I think Haskins played for Michigan, and I think he played more with the starters before injury. I don't think he's that good, but yeah. And then they also have Nyheim Hines on the practice squad, who, because Hampton got so many targets, is kind of appealing. But this is the team that might trade for Alvin Kamara, might trade for Jerome Ford, might trade for Tony Pollard or something like that, I don't think it's going to fix their issues, but at this point, they lost Najee, they lost Hampton. More importantly, they lost the O-lineman, they lost Khalil Mack. They did trade for an edge rusher, so maybe that helps a little bit with the Ravens. But yeah, I don't know. It's sad, but I'd prefer Haskins a little bit over Kamani. Honestly, if he plays, he's getting 6 targets. Scott Matlock continues to be the biggest fullback in football. Okay, my Bills lost to the Patriots. Honestly, and I can say this with all honesty, I wasn't even mad, man. As a Bills fan at this point, I just know they're going to the playoffs. Nothing matters in the regular season. I knew they weren't going undefeated, but let's talk about the box score. Then I'll talk about the overall game because obviously I care about this one. Josh Allen, 253 and 2 in the air. James Cook, a bad game for his standards. 49 rushing yards on 15 carries. Josh Allen, 53 yards. Dalton Kincaid, 6 for 108. Suck that, haters. So many people hated on Dalton Kincaid. So many people pretended Dalton Kincaid's career is over. No one's talking about him breaking out. 6 for 108. Even last week, the week before, it's all about he's not playing enough snaps. He's there's 3 tight ends who've had a 100-yard game. It's him, it's Bowers, it's Kraft. Curtis Samuel caught a touchdown. So I guess Samuel's just healthy because Elijah Moore's not playing anymore. And they prefer Samuel. Keon got a touchdown, but then also got He like got benched the first drive of the game for being stupid or something. Khalil Shakir, 6 for 45 for the Patriots. No touchdowns for Drake May. And Drake May, like, I've always thought Drake May is kind of good, but like watching this game, the way people are talking about Drake May, like, let's be truthful here. Drake May did not sit in the pocket and like dissect the defense, right? Like, he's not like a Joe Burrow. He pretty much the whole game, he rolled out to his right and then he hit someone downfield. And you can win a lot of football games like that. The big story here is the running back room, which we'll get to. Antonio Gibson, unfortunately, tears his ACL, so he's out for the year. Ramondre fumbled again, but got 2 touchdowns as well. Travion Henderson might just not be that good, 6 for 24. May had 3 for 12 on the ground. Stephon Diggs had a huge game. And really, like, another big thing for the Bills is they have a ton of injuries. And because their team is so good, they're being conservative with it because their schedule's easy. Who cares if they drop a game here or there? But really, their corner 2 is like terrible right now. And a big reason is because they drafted a corner in the first round and that guy is hurt. So they're playing like Trey White, who is, man, like they drafted Trey White like 12 years ago. So better days ahead for the Bills defense, but Diggs has a big one, 10 for 146. I do buy Diggs ascending, but again, a lot of these catches came on like rollouts against like Trey White, who Trey White's just not fast. So he plays like really soft coverage to make sure he doesn't get burned deep. Other than Diggs, though, no one really has a great fantasy day. Henry, 2 for 46. Booty, 3 for 43. Obviously, the big thing is you're not going to win a lot of football games when you have 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles, and 1 interception. Usage-wise, they played 4 wide receivers, Booty, Hollins, Diggs, Douglas. They did run 12 personnel plenty. They played all 3 running backs, but yeah, I mean, okay, Travion, you're running out of excuses. Like, it's you and Ramondre now. Gibson's out for the year, and Gibson honestly looked pretty good to me. So like, let's see the games, man. Let's see the games. I don't think this is a good coaching staff to put him in successful spots, but we'll see. And yeah, I just don't think, I mean, maybe Travion's not that good, so they just can't afford to bench Ramondre. I don't know. I drafted Ramondre quite a bit in best ball because I was like, isn't he David Montgomery of the Patriots? You know? Pretty much the Chargers are just going to throw even more, and that's why those running backs are like, other than Nyheim Hines, maybe. The Bills, you got to think Dalton Kincaid is going to play more. Now, he did bang up his hand on the last play of the game and maybe hurt his pinky. So we'll have to see if that means anything. But, man, he was so good. 24 routes, 6 targets, over 100 yards. Khalil Shakir, 9 targets. Keon, 7 targets. The Pats just, like, the Pats have the personnel to run single high safety because they have corners that are good, and not many defenses have defenses that good. If you remember, the Patriots spent like $1 billion in free agency, and Christian Gonzalez is back. So when you can run single high safety, that means you can kind of stack the box, and that worked against Buffalo to a point. Obviously, they were driving the ball later in the game before the turnovers, but couple things to talk about here is Curtis Samuel is playing a lot and Elijah Moore was inactive. Josh Palmer is playing less. He'll still have some okay best ball games, but like, we know who Josh Palmer is. Like, that team got kind of crazy. Tyrell Shavers, I'm convinced he played a lot because he has the same number of Stephon Diggs now. Knox continues to play. Hawes continues to play, but he's a blocking tight end. And then they played Ray Davis quite a bit down the stretch when the Bills needed to win, so I wasn't liking to see that because he's just not that good. Ty Johnson doubled up snaps for Ray Davis. James Cook continues to be the guy. Obviously, Cook will have better days than he had today. 15 carries, 25 routes is what it is. Okay. And then, fortunately for Buffalo, the Chiefs lost, despite some ticky-tack fouls going against the Jags, 31-28. And, man, like, we got to talk about that. Trevor Lawrence winning that way was insane, man. Ray Davis was probably a bad click. However, if James Cook gets hurt, it's kind of like Brian Robinson, you know? If Cook misses time, if CMC misses time, now you'll see Ray Davis. Now you'll see Brian Robinson. That's how it goes with these like pure handcuffs, you know? Box score wise for the Chiefs, 318-1 for Mahomes, 6 for 60-1 for Mahomes on the ground. Kareem Hunt, 7 for 49-2 on the ground. Pacheco, 7 for 36. Really, what's killer for Pacheco is he doesn't get all the work between the 20s, and he's not the goal line back. Tyquan Thornton, 3 for 90. I have a managed team that's like so bad that it's like it's missing Mike Evans, it's missing George Kittle, and it won with like Tyquan Thornton and Brashard Smith to get its first win on the season. I would be so tight if I played this team. Like I'll just show you the matchup. So like if you're playing my team, this is the team that Tolan and I drafted, and it's just super injured. But you see, you have JT and Javonte, and I'm rolling out Michael Carter and Brashard Smith. You see that I'm rolling out Diggs, Tyquan, Brian Thomas, and Travis Hunter, and you're rolling out Devontae, Nico, J-Mo, okay, Jalen Tolbert, Kincaid, Waller. That's advantage me, but like you figured you have the advantage. No, this is our game. Fields, Michael Carter, Brashard Smith, Tyquan Thornton giving me 12. You know, Brian Thomas, Hunter doing their part. Yeah, we got Mike Evans on the bench. We got Warren was hurt. Pacheco sucks. Wicks or Kittle, Bucky Irving. So I think we drafted Jaden Reed in this one too. So yeah, season's probably over, but nice to get a win. You never know. What if we win 8 in a row? For the Jags, 221-1 for Trevor Lawrence, 10 for 54 and 2 on the ground for Lawrence. Like this is the Trevor I was drafting. I was drafting the Trevor that was going to run the football, you know? 12 for 49 for ETN on the ground, 4 for 6 for Tootin, almost had a big one, ran into his lineman. Brian Thomas, 4 for 80. Travis Hunter, 3 for 64 and looked absolutely unreal on his one big catch. The breakout's coming, guys. It's coming. I'm convinced. The big news for Hunter is he played some 2 wide receiver sets for the first time this year. He was on the field when the Jags won too, you know? He still does not know the plays always, but yeah. Parker Washington caught a touchdown. Brenton Strange is going to IR, so that's a bummer. Usage-wise, Worthy, 37 routes, 9 targets. Juju, 28 routes, 3 targets. Hollywood, 25 routes, 8 targets. Tyquan Thornton, 23 routes, 5 targets. And then Kelsey had like an illegal pick touchdown. Noah Gray's running routes out there. The running back room, there was chatter about more Brashard Smith. We didn't see it. 40 snaps for Pacheco, 21 for Hunt, 6 for Smith, 7 carries for Pacheco and Hunt. Yeah, I mean, this Chiefs team is like good, bad. Like, obviously, they're good. They're going to make the playoffs, but like, they're not that good. They're gonna lose in the playoffs. And then the real question is, who goes to 0 when Rashee Rice returns? You would guess it's Juju, and that they keep Hollywood and Tyquan for like outside presence, but we'll have to see. Mahomes could be a buy low with Rashee Rice returning. Obviously, Rashee Rice is a buy low. For the Jaguars, Travis Hunter, 26 routes in this, second most on the team after Brian Thomas. Only 3 targets, but like I'm convinced, like he looks so good anytime he gets the ball. The big games are coming. And like, yeah, that downfield play he made, like not many can make that play. Diami Brown is healthy, 24 routes for him. Parker Washington, only 9 routes, but got a touchdown. Hunter Long, seems to be the answer at tight end with Bretton Strange moving to IR. So maybe he's a guy you pick up in tight end premium leagues and see what you have there. Let's look up his RAS. Because being athletic is like almost always a prerequisite to being good in fantasy football at tight end. Honestly, good RAS. 8.61. That's like pretty great. I'll tweet it out for people. Like buys are here. If you need a desperation start, I think Strange was like leading the team in targets. So you would think Hunter is going to get used more, but we'll see. For the running backs, Travis Etienne continues to dominate the workload. He's a bell cow. Tootin, 12 snaps. Quinn Allen, 13 snaps, but 12 carries for Travis Etienne. 4 targets, 13 routes compared to little for the other guy. I still think Tootin will get more as the season goes, but yeah, Etienne, great pick to date. Yeah, I really do think Rice will move the needle for the Chiefs, but we got to see it, Michael. But I do. Now, people are voting with their bags. Like, for example, this rotosurgeon guy who always is hating on me. Let's see. Like, this dude is like, this guy has some of the worst tweets too. This Kev Master whatever you say. He said Jacksonville should 100% make the call if this Bretton Strange injury is even semi-serious. Then I look up his exposures. Who's one of his highest drafted guys? You betcha, Mark Andrews. So yeah, if the Jags don't listen to your exposures, man, they're not playing football right. But what was I saying? Yeah, so I think you could do worse. Oh yeah, the Cook thing. People didn't draft him, so they're hoping that he's a bad pick, because they didn't draft him. They don't want to accept that they were wrong, obviously. All right, that's what I got for usage. We'll spend a little bit of time on best ball and then call it a night. I'll be back tomorrow with a big best ball dump, but let's see what we got. I'm down to 6 eliminators. Actually, let's maybe just do this on BBMDB. The one I drafted with Davis is still live. Might be my best team. I don't know if I love any of them. Love and May. That's some irony right there. Little pun for you. Henry, Cook, Hampton, Walker. Of course, like the one team where I'm like, okay, I'll draft Henry. It's on this team. Puka, Olave, Diggs, Keenan. So it's 4 wide receivers pretty much. Because Tillman hurt, Jaden Reed hurt. Injuries are going to make their toll in the eliminator big time. Goddard and Kasicki and Higbee. Higbee's also hurt. The one with Davis is not this one. This team is maybe this team is good. Let's see. Penix, Stafford, Darnold, Shuck. He was Shuck was Dart, obviously. Ginty, Taylor, Cook, Harvey. So running back room is pretty good, honestly. Just having Taylor and Cook together. Devontae, Judy, Ricky Pearsall, which I've not heard any Ricky Pearsall updates. Mooney through the bye. Rashid Shaheed, Keon, like 2 fine dart throws here. Mike Williams, shout out Mike Williams. Colston Loveland, maybe Colston Loveland is something. Pearsall and Shakir for Devontae. I don't think that's too much, George. But I'm not even convinced Devontae's a better pick than Pearsall. So think about that. If you are, though, then no, I don't think it's too much. I don't have any Rashid. I had a Rashid Rice team, but it's out. Now, this is the team I drafted with Davis. And it's pretty great other than wide receiver depth. Honestly, no, I think this is probably the best team I have. Goff, Herbert, Penix, CMC, Achane, Harvey, Dobbins, Woody Marks, Kendre. Look what Davis and I can do when we put our minds together. JSN, Mike Evans, which, if Mike Evans comes back, J-Mo, always, J-Mo, like you don't draft J-Mo for regular season, folks. You draft J-Mo to have 2 touchdowns in a playoff game. And then what's encouraging is it's through the buys on Golden and Mooney. That's good news. And Rashid Shaheed and Douglas. So everyone but Mike Evans is at least running routes right now. And I don't know if Mooney will be back this week, but I'm assuming he will be. And then Kincaid and Kyle Pitts is a legit good tight end room. 100% I would trade Ladd for Rice and Kamara. I would probably trade Ladd for Rice straight up. Pretty easily. And I like Ladd. But assuming you have a good enough team, Ostick, to carry Rashee Rice, I am very convinced will be a league winner. I do not think Derrick Henry is a good buy low. I would not be doing that. This team is another good team I have. Maybe this is my best team. Herbert and Trevor, team 2 quarterback. Josh Jacobs, James Cook. So it's nice to get through the Josh Jacobs bye. And it's nice to get through a bad Cook game, Judkins. So Jacobs, Cook, Judkins makes for a good 3 running backs. And RJ Harvey. This team, I think, was drafted in May because it had Judkins drafted before Harvey, I believe. And then it has Tyler Algier also through bye, and he gives you weeks, and Justice Hill. Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, Travis Hunter, Amika Egbuka, Luther Bird, and Keon Coleman, Dontavian Wicks. Maybe I actually drafted this late. I don't know. But serviceable enough wide receiver room. Jefferson is going to be on bye this week, and we'll have to see what he is with McCarthy. But he seems a little back. Egbuka is a killer. T. Higgins points up with Flacco there. Hunter is pointing up. Burden is through the bye, and we'll have to see if he plays more. Wicks is through the bye. Keon, he can give you a game. Goddard, Mike Gesicki, Otten, a very fine tight end room. So I kind of like this one. This team also seems kind of good, this one. Let's see. It's a little thin at wideout, I think. Baker, Trevor, Dart, good. CMC, Cook, Henderson, Judkins, Keaton, good. And how can it get worse for Henderson, Drake London, okay, we're through the bye. That's good. Travis Hunter, pointing up. Egbuka, awesome. Juwan Jennings, see, I think he's a very important player to this team because wide receiver is kind of thin, and I don't know how healthy he is. But he's got to return eventually, right? Keon, live for Spike Week. Bateman needs Lamar back, but he's live for Spike. Dimely Brown is live for Spike. So the wide receiver room's not terrible. I just kind of wish this team had another wideout instead of a third tight end. And then Loveland, Otten, and Higbee at tight end. We already looked at that one. We just looked at that one. This is a weird one. Hurts and Mahomes. James Cook, DeAndre Swift through the bye. JCM. So kind of a 3 running back-ish room. Ray Davis. Rashad White. So get in the Rashad. This is what you really want in the eliminator. You want to get a team where it's Rashad White advanced absolutely no one early on. And now he's on the team and now he's super important, Keaton Mitchell, Damian Pierce. Hey, they both played this week. That was better than the first start to the season. Nico, Puka, Zay, Juwan Jennings, Darnell Mooney, Elikai Minor, Juju Smith-Schuster, stacked with Mahomes. Loveland and Strange. So just losing Strange hurts, but Loveland, I think, is going to play. Team is kind of good. Nico, Puka is fun. I think that, better days ahead for Brian Thomas Jr. And really, Trevor's not as good as I hoped, but still, I think just the Jags passing attack, it's got to be better days ahead. You saying this about Jennings or Pearsall? Yeah, we're going to look at this more in depth tomorrow, but I'm advancing 26 right now. So we will look at more at the best ball stuff tomorrow, I think. In the Eliminator, I thought it was fine. It was like my only Juju team, and it was because I had Mahomes. But like, the Eliminator, I was like, well, maybe Juju gets me to week 10, And honestly, if you knew Juju was playing this many snaps, you would probably have taken some too. Like he's playing a lot of snaps. Yeah, that's a good trade. No, I think, dude, Chase Brown is a significantly worse bet without Joe Burrow, just like almost every running back in the league. Like when your running back loses the quarterback and the team is not good, that is bad, period. Now, what I do think is possible is that Chase Brown starts getting 6 catches a game with Flacco. So we'll have to see there. But all right, folks, that's what I got for you tonight. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, join the Discord. Jesus. Link below. Peace out.